The Wager Talk You Pick special is live, giving you the option to pick the league of your choice and get 30 days of picks for only $99. 30 days of the NFL for $99, done. Just want NBA and NHL for the next month? You can do that for only $99 each. That's right, $99 gets you every release from the league of your choice from your favorite handicapper, including 5% best bets for 30 days. No coupon code is required, and 30-day sports passes will go back to regular price Sunday at midnight. So lock in as many sports and handicappers for only $99 before time runs out.
All right, guys, welcome in. Time for a little college basketball tip-off show powered by WagerTalk.com. Cruising along here midweek on this Wednesday, which must mean there's a mid-major Matt sighting somewhere. Welcome in the three gentlemen here today. Going to help you profit a little bit in basketball tonight, including back for a command performance. Drew Martin in the house, hitting leadoff for us here tonight. Tony Mejia right in the middle of the order. And there he is, mid-major Matt, hitting cleanup here as we get ready for not the biggest of cards, but some intriguing matchups, some top 25 matchups, and, of course, a couple of very interesting mid-major matchups. Drew, talk to me about your night last night, my man. What happened? What do you got going on? Any takeaways? And what do you got locked and loaded at Wager Talk?
Sure, Joe. Last night, pretty good overall night for college basketball betting and in the best bet. And also, today's hump day action. We get a little maction on the college football field. We get the college basketball board, like you teed up nicely there. And at Wager Talk, actually got a 5% play in maction for college football. My first college basketball total set and ready to go for the clients. So check it out, Drew Martin, WagerTalk.com. And always good to be on with you, Joe. And it's good to have mid-major Matt back in the mix, man.
Absolutely. What is a college basketball season without mid-major Matt at least wants to rip apart here? All right, so Tony Mejia, what is going on, my friend? Welcome back. Long time no see. I think it was 24 hours ago we were sitting here. I do want to say, I'll go on record here, Tony. Oregon is never going to be that bad again, ever, with a Dana Altman team. Not going to happen. But water under the bridge here. How was the rest of the evening? And, of course, what do you got locked and loaded at Wager Talk?
Well, I went from being really annoyed at myself for not putting in my Houston play to saying, well, if I would have had time to put in the Houston play, I also would have went with Oregon. So I guess that washed out. And I didn't have time because I had to do some panel videos and then rush out of here to watch the second half of a demoralizing 0-0 draw between Colombia and Paraguay that might cost Colombia the World Cup down the road. So that was annoying. And then watch the college football and my MAC total, which was a 4%, lose with Eastern Michigan and Western Michigan going with a scoreless first quarter, which I did not enjoy. So all in all, not the most pleasant of nights, but we'll move on to Wednesday and the rest of the week. And soccer qualifying is done for 2021, which means I'll have more time on my hands, so that's good.
All right, good stuff there. It's been an intriguing college basketball season so far. Mid-major Matt joining us. SportsMemo.com is where you can catch all of his plays, guys, whether it be the props, the sides, the totals. Nobody better over at Sports Memo, certainly in college hoops. So how's the season been going for you, Matt? How'd you do last night? What do you got up at sportsmemo.com today?
Well, yesterday was a mixed bag kind of day, a 500 day in college basketball, but I was very happy to get in early on the JMU Eastern Kentucky team over because it went up 6 points overnight, and then it became very hairy for those who waited. And Eastern Kentucky is one of these teams that they're going to play the over, so you're going to want to get them the night before. Maction was very frustrating last night. Teams kicking field goals too many times. I had one who didn't want to kick field goals, so that was kind of frustrating. But love the card today. Problem is I can't sell any of the plays because all the numbers I got last night, they've moved a ton. So what I've learned is get your numbers in quick because these things are popping and a lot of lines are moving and mostly in my favor. So that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's always closing line value. Always good here, guys. It is what we strive for. All right, let's get to it here, guys. Interesting card on the board tonight. So why don't we start with the game a lot of eyeballs are going to be on here tonight with Michigan State taking on Butler, 131.5 as a opening total. Also 2.5 as an opening number here. Butler spotless thus far with the record. 1-1 for Michigan State. So, Drew, I'll come to you here. The Spartans, totally different look, new team. We knew this. We saw them against Kansas. It didn't go all that well for them. What do you think we're going to get from the Spartans here tonight taking on this Butler team?
Sure, Joe. This is a good game. This is the one I like the most on the card of the three we're going to be talking about. Do have a best bet at the end here. I like the Spartans. Michigan State -3. You can actually get 2.5 at a prominent offshore book. So I definitely would lean people to bet it that way. -2 in the hook. Important numbers here, getting the best of it in college basketball. But Joe, you kind of teed it up there. Last year, Michigan State, the worst record under Tom Izzo, kind of cleaned house coming back this season. And on prime time against Kansas early in the season, they took that loss. And going up against Butler, I actually think we're getting a little value here with Michigan State because they're going up against Butler, where Butler has played Central Arkansas, IUPUI, and Troy from the Sun Belt, and now they're playing Michigan State. So a huge step up in class here. They did return all 5 starters from last season, Joe. However, they're still turning the ball over 15 times a game against that easy schedule. I think Michigan State and Tom Izzo, well-coached team here, is able to take advantage of that. And the Spartans at the -2.5, if you can get it out there, it's available right now. That's the way I like this game, Michigan State, Joe.
All right, liking State here. What do you think, Tony Mejia? What are we going to get from this Butler team? Pretty good test for him here tonight.
Really good test, and you know that Dave Gavitt is pleased in terms of the Big East shining on these Gavitt games because they're really doing themselves a favor in terms of conference RPI boosts come March. So doing a really nice job in this tournament. And if Butler can play giant killer at home against Michigan State, that would be another feather in the conference's cap. It's, Drew touched on it. It's Butler playing their first real competition. Troy's decent. They have athletes, but, this will be the biggest test for Butler against Michigan State. And for Michigan State, they got back on track, but it's a situation where the Spartans are similarly in the same boat as Butler and no true go-to guy. They need guys to step up. I think ultimately by the time all is said and done, Max Christie, the freshman, is going to be that guy that Michigan State goes to in the clutch when they need a basket. But he's struggling early. He's a true freshman. From the Butler standpoint, it's looking like Chuck Harris is carving out that niche for the Bulldogs. He's a redshirt freshman, had a really nice freshman season, kind of a stat sheet stuffer, and they've got a true freshman in Jaden Taylor that's stepping up, and a Lithuanian import, Simas Lukosius, that came over from playing in the pros out in Europe, in Germany. So he's clearly got some pedigree, but this is a team that's coming together. Their front court isn't that great. And Michigan State, they're replacing Aaron Henry as a go-to guy and lost some key players off of last year's team, which, as Drew said, wasn't one of Tom Izzo's best. The key, I think, to it all for Michigan State is the Northeastern transfer, the point guard Tyson Walker, continuing to assert himself and get everybody easy shots. Sam Hauser's a big part of this team in terms of being able to shoot the ball well from the perimeter. But I don't trust either offense, especially this early. So my lean here is actually to the under on 131.5. Hopefully it goes up a little more, but I think this looks like a race to 65 between two teams that are probably more evenly matched than people think. So it doesn't stun me that Michigan State is a one-possession road favorite, but my lean, and I think the better play, is on the total going under.
All right, looking for a little bit of an under here. How about it, mid-major Matt? Which way you looking here in this matchup?
Well, I mean, it's the classic case of a team that wants to go versus a team that doesn't really want to go and will make sure you don't go, because Butler's one of the slowest paces in America at 353. Now, look, obviously these numbers don't matter as much because we're only 2-3 games in, but you look at the possession numbers, 59 versus IUPUI, 66 versus Central Arkansas, and 66 against Troy. I can see a similar 66 possession game between these two. And the one thing that's a difference here is that Butler's a little bit more veteran of the two of them. And you look at it's funny because you look at some of these rosters and you're like, I see the name Jair Bolden. I'm like, wait, wasn't that the guy who was at GW? And then, oh yeah, he was at South Carolina. He's in his third school and he's been really good, especially shooting the ball long range for Butler here. Classic case once again of this is a really good home crowd, but Michigan State playing their first true road game of the season here, so that should be a little bit of a factor. Plus, I know we don't do this a lot when you're handicapped, but the Big East has looked very good so far since against the Big Ten in the Gavitt game. So you give a small edge to Butler, of course, a different level of competition than some of the other schools here. But I agree with Tony. If I was to play anything here, it would probably be an under. This feels like a grinded out game that potentially, even if there's overtime, it still might go under. But it would be the lean for me is the under in this game. I think it's going to be offense is going to be tough to come by.
All right, a couple of under leans here. We got a state backer. Should be a good game, guys. In the meantime, we're going to head over to the Mohegan Sun if we could. Take on this OSU team, this Oklahoma State team, taking on NC State. I don't even know what the hell make of this Oklahoma State team anymore. Who's suspended, who's not. I do believe Bryce Williams is back for this game, Tony Mejia. But other than that, it's been rough sledding for Oklahoma State so far with all of the news of the postseason ban being held up. Manny Bates for North Carolina, not in for NC State here, a big blow. What do you do? How do you approach this game with Oklahoma State and NC State?
Well, yeah, I mean, if we could teleport anywhere by blinking our eyes, Mohegan Sun wouldn't be a bad place to be. We can gamble and then watch these games. And certainly, I know you're interested in what Oklahoma State could potentially be this season. They've got a ton of depth. And now with all these guys coming off suspension, I think that they're going to flex a little muscle. And hopefully the NCAA ruling isn't a lost cause, because I do think that it would be better for all of college basketball if the Cowboys were included come in the field of 68 come March and aren't just playing spoiler for everybody else the rest of the way. NC State, you mentioned it, huge blow with Manny Bates being done for the season due to a dislocated shoulder. And the fact is that they don't have anybody to replace him. So it's going to be Kevin Keatts trying to figure out how to succeed with the pieces on his roster. It's certainly a better roster than he had last season. I think they'll be able to run more, and we'll probably see four guards, by the time all is said and done, trying to push through in the ACC season. So this is going to be a good test for them against Oklahoma State. Jericho Helms and Casey Morsell, the Virginia transfer, have looked good so far for NC State. And I think Oklahoma State is going to, try to victimize the Wolfpack and their lack of size by kicking it inside to the Memphis transfer, Musa Cisse, who has looked good early. The Cowboys, through a few games, don't have a double-digit score yet, so they're going to share the wealth. And again, I think from 1 to 8, when all those guys are healthy, that's a big chore for somebody to have to deal with when you don't have depth, which is the case for NC State. So ultimately, I think Oklahoma State wears down the Wolfpack. It certainly helps that Oklahoma State hasn't played since Sunday, and NC State played last night. They needed a key 13-0 run just to beat Central Connecticut State as a 27-point favorite.
You're recording. Go ahead.
That game was tight at halftime, so that doesn't bode well for the Wolfpack. I like Oklahoma State here. I'd lay the points. It's my favorite play among the games that we are covering here. I'll have a best bet on another game, but of the three we're touching up on, I like Oklahoma State a lot.
All right, liking Oklahoma State in this one. And what do you think here, mid-major, Matt? Kind of tough to back this Oklahoma State squad, isn't it?
Oh, no, I love the Oklahoma State squad. I love them in this. The line's not necessarily where I would like it to be. It's a little higher than I would have liked. But, Oklahoma State essentially had a nice layup yesterday. They played UMass Lowell. They beat them up. Whereas NC State was down at halftime to a bad Central Connecticut State team. And I think this is the type of game that they're going to miss Manny Bates. And, I was doing my DFS lineups, and Musa Cisse is very cheap on DraftKings if you do that sort of thing. And I think he's a guy who's going to put up, some points. He's going to have a bunch of rebounds. He's going to have some blocks. He's going to stack stuff for you, stat sheet stuff for you. So what I did today was I took the Oklahoma State money line and I paired it off with the Rhode Island money line, another team I think is going to win, short money lines. And I did a little money line parlay that pays out plus 130 or so. I think Oklahoma State's the better team. I think the ACC is down a little bit. You watch a team like Virginia last night. You watch some of these other teams that are towards the middle of the pack in the conference. I don't have faith in NC State here, and I think the Manny Bates missing this game will be felt here. So I took Oklahoma State money line, and if you want to pair it off with another short favorite in college basketball, or if you want to pair it off with one of the favorites in Maction tonight, that's what I'm doing with it, is taking it and making a money line parlay with the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
All right, look at laying it with Oklahoma State as a backbone there. What do you think, Drew? Do you trust Oklahoma State getting healthy at the right time to take care of business here?
You know, Joe, this is a tricky one. Bates being out for NC State and then Oklahoma State. You touched on it there in the opener in terms of, you know, how's this team going to react? You know, the postseason issues. I'm one of these guys in college basketball. If you're not cheating, you're not trying on the recruiting trail. So let's not penalize people too much. But really, what does that matter? Talking about the matchup of today, Oklahoma State -3.5. I think. Especially laying this number with the team shooting 63% from the free throw line so far. I know it's just short sample size here. I don't really like that profile of bet in college basketball. Avery Austin, pretty good out there on the court. Both teams stepping up in class. Plus the fact Oklahoma State 3-1 on the season. Their one loss to Oakland. We've kind of touched on it so far in terms of, you know, some players being out, but still that Oakland team really underrated. The style of defense that they play kind of caught them off guard. So I wouldn't penalize them too much for that. I do like the Cowboys, Joe. It's just the thing that kept me off of personally betting it is they've really kind of struggled at the free throw line. And in this price range, that can come back to haunt you. So that's what kept me off of the Cowboys side.
All right. A little hesitant there with the Cowboys, but that's all right. Should be a hell of a game there, actually. We'll learn a little bit about both of these squads tonight. We got one more game to talk about, and what better? Talk about a little St. John's in Indiana. You got to love that. Big East, Big Ten here. 6.5 for Indiana. An opening line favorite. 148 as a total. 9 o'clock Eastern time, the tip for this one. Mid-major, Matt, coming to you here. The Johnnies taking on the Hoosiers. Who you like in this one?
I like St. John's. I got in early at 6.5. It's kind of gone down a little bit here. Look, I don't love taking the road teams with the in big games like this, but I mean, I find some value here. I mean, look, this is an Indiana team that's kind of gotten fat and happy off of 2 MAC schools. They're still trying to figure things out under Mike Woodson. They played 2 really quick paces, 76 possessions and 74 possessions, and it would almost pay them off to kind of go slower in this game, because you look at it at St. John's, 84 and 75. They want to run. Mike Anderson just wants to go. And so if you're going to play with that style, I think it's going to benefit the team who's a lot better at that style. And you're looking at St. John's. Now, look, there's a lot of lofty numbers here. St. John's is number 1, shooting 70% from 2-point land, but that's what's going to happen when you're playing a Mississippi Valley State team that plays no sort of defense whatsoever. I think the key here is who's going to guard TJD inside. I mean, look, you could throw some different guys at him. I think the problem that St. John's has is Soriano's way too slow to cover a guy like TJD. He's got the size, and certainly he could try and make him shoot over him, but I think, Jackson Davis is going to go around him. And so then you might try a Champagne, but Champagne's not big enough, and you don't want him to get in foul trouble here. So I think St. John's biggest issue is going to be trying to wrangle him inside and just trying to let everybody else beat them. But I like this St. John's balance. I think they've got a lot of options. I think they've got a lot of shooting. I think they've got the style and the pace that they want. And I think they're going to feel a lot more comfortable in this game. And as long as they kind of figure it out and let TJD get whatever he wants in this one and let everybody else kind of struggle, I think St. John's has a shot to win this game outright.
Oh, all right. Like St. John's getting it done here on the road. Bloomington, Indiana there, Drew. What do you think? Tempo-wise, we know what St. John's is going to do. Not that Mississippi Valley State is anything crazy, but they did break the century mark there, Drew, and I do believe there's going to be a lot of points in this one as well. What do you think we're going to see?
Sure. I think this Red Storm team is one to be betting on right now, Joe. They're kind of a tough matchup because of the pace that they run. One of the fastest teams in the country, depending what metrics you want to go off of. And actually, through their first couple games, 210 to 131. That's the score they've been blowing teams out by. They're nailing their free throws, 81% free throw shooting on the year. And Indiana, going through their run of MAC teams, Eastern Michigan and Northern Illinois, and almost losing one of those games. I think Indiana laying this number, I would really pump the brakes here back in the Hoosiers. A talented team, one that likely finds themselves into the NCAA tournament. But at this point in the season, I don't think they're really playing all that great of basketball. They're kind of lucky that their first 6 games of the season all at home, so they could kind of make their way through this minefield. But I just think the matchup standpoint with the Red Storm here with St. John's, Matt touched on a lot of it, this kind of tempo that they're going to run, I think it's going to cause problems for Indiana. I like St. John's. I think the dog is barking. Take them plus the points, 5.5 if you can find it. A little sprinkle on the money line as well with St. John's, Joe.
All right. Well, let's. What do you think here? What do you think, Tony Mejia? We looking at points? You looking at an under, an over? How are you going to approach this game here between these two?
Well, let's make it a clean sweep. The fact that I'm from Queens does not factor in here. I just like St. John's in this game. I think that Indiana at this point is still working out its point guard situation. Rob Finney is coming off the bench. He's a really solid defensive guard, but not the catalyst you want running the show. And the player that they've recruited to do that is Xavier Johnson, the Pittsburgh transfer. He actually played with Julian Champagne's brother, Justin, last season. Justin's with the Raptors now, and then moved on midseason and is now in Indiana. And he'll have to be that number 3 guy next to Trace Jackson Davis and Race Thompson, who both gotten off to really nice starts inside. This is going to be a contrast in styles. I think Matt is correct in that Mike Woodson's best served trying to slow this game down, whereas St. John's is going to look to press, look to Posh Alexander to create turnovers and easy buckets and try to push that tempo. I don't think it's a coincidence that the total has gone up from 148.5 to 151.5, and certainly if St. John's has it its way, it's going to be eclipsed on that total. I think we're looking at a race to 80 if they can get that going tempo-wise. And again, I think this is a game St. John's can win outright. They just have to withstand the flurries that Indiana is inevitably going to come up with at Assembly Hall. But if they're in the game with about 3 minutes left, I trust St. John's guards a lot more than I trust Indiana. So certainly taking the points here.
That's a good point. Should be a fun game, that's for sure. St. John's taking on Indiana at 9 o'clock Eastern time. Tip on that one, guys, and there you've got it, those 3 games here. Now it is time to figure out if there is, on the rest of the card here, maybe a game that these guys have circled they like a little bit more than anything else. So, Drew, coming to you, lead us off here tonight with a best bet. What game do you have circled for us?
The Oakland Grizzlies, not the Oakland A's, the Oakland Grizzlies from the Horizon League, guys. -2 points right now. They're taking on Toledo. This Oakland team, long, lanky. They play a unique style of defense. They get back there. They actually knocked off Oklahoma State. Sorry to say, Joe Raineri, but they got them at a good time. Let's say that. And also, I think a team that last year, their record wasn't very good. They play a lot of big-name programs. They go up early in the season and play the big boys. So it's one of the teams kind of riding under the radar. Record isn't going to be all that pretty, but very talented going up against the MAC opponent, Toledo. I would lay the 2 points here with the Oakland Grizzlies tonight, guys.
All right, going with the Oakland Grizz here. Love it. Talk to me, Tony Mejia. What game you got circled for us tonight on the card?
Well, I think Florida State plays bully against Tulane. Seminoles come off a truly dreadful performance against the Gators. They really struggled offensively outside of Malik Osborne. He was pretty good, 6 of 10 from the field, 3 of 4 from three-point range. The rest of the starters shot 5 for 22. And one concern that I have about FSU is they brought in Caleb Mills, who was the 6th man for Calvin Sampson and the Houston Cougars last year before he got dissatisfied with his role. He was actually the leading scorer off the bench. And then one day just said, you know what, I don't like this, I'm transferring. And that team obviously had great success. Mills ended up picking FSU, and it's going to be him and Raekwon Evans running the show for Florida State. And Evans is going to be more of a distributor, but Mills, I think the beef on him is, or the knock on him is you're not going to look for your teammates and you're a guard. You need to grow out of that. and maybe that's the case for FSU early. But those guys are going to have to learn to play together. They're a ton more talented than this Tulane team, who still can't shoot. Tulane comes off a 73-70 home loss to Southern of Baton Rouge, a SWAC school that you're not supposed to lose to. Their first game was too close for comfort against Southeastern Louisiana. So it's not a team that's started the season off well under Ron Hunter, who can certainly coach. I think Tulane will be much better come AAC play than they are right now. But again, the Achilles heel last season was shooting, and they've shot the ball poorly to start the season. And you don't want to shoot the ball poorly against the likes of FSU, who has all those athletes, and get out and really guard on the perimeter. So I think that the Noles run this up, win by over 20. And I noticed that the number started off at 18.5, is now down to 16. So a little friendlier there. Liam, we'll write Florida State over Tulane.
All right, there you go. Talk to me. A little bully time for FSU to get a little anger out. I love it. Mid-major, Matt, talk to me. What is it? Providence over first half? What is that? What does that play worth?
Creighton.
Every time, yeah. We'll go Creighton. Yeah, it was Creighton over first half. Every show last year, guys. Creighton over first half. Cash it. Just cash it. It was like clockwork. Unbelievable. What are you going to start us off this year with? Best bet here, Matt.
I think it hit last night too against Nebraska, but that was I think so. I mean, this Creighton team is very odd this year because they don't have a lot of their shooters. But no, tonight I'm going Lipscomb. I originally got a Lipscomb plus 11 last night. It's down to 10, so that's good. It's not moving out of the range here. But you look at this Bison's team; they're 3-1 so far. Now, granted, one of those wins was against a lower level team, but they've got a star in Hassan Asadullah, who I feel like has been in college for 15 years now. This is a team that's going to play at a faster pace. They have also played a bunch of road games, so they're not afraid of this. And look, Dayton is playing like a snail this year. You look at their two games, 60 possessions apiece. And when you play a 60-possession game, 10 points is a lot. And I feel that's a bunch of possessions for a Dayton team that's just not doing great on defense. They're not shooting the three very well. They're still kind of learning how to feel each other out here because it's just not a veteran team. Now, granted, UD Arena is a very tough place to play, but you look at this Lipscomb team last year and some of the games that they played, they hung tough. They lost by 12 at Cincinnati. They lost by 2 at Tulane. A lot of the guys are back from last year. So as long as this thing stays in double digits here, I like Lipscomb. I think there's a chance they could win tonight, but UMass Lowell upsetting Dayton kind of makes me lessen it to think that 2 straight times they're going to lose in UD Arena. So I'll take the points. Lipscomb plus 10 tonight at UD Arena against Dayton.
All right, there you go here, guys. All right, one I'm taking a look at. I'm going to go 8:30 Eastern time, guys. I'm going to take Stanford to absolutely destroy Valpo here. Any team that lost to Illinois, Chicago in overtime is enough for me to bet against here. I don't think they've won or covered a game yet. I think Stanford gets right. They lost to Santa Clara, but this is going to be a much easier team. Valpo's got a couple of injuries to some key players as well. I'll lay the 13 with Stanford tonight, 8:30 Eastern time in that matchup. And guys, don't forget, WagerTalk.com, Drew Martin, best bets locked and loaded there right now on this Wednesday, as is Tony Mejia. Head on over to sportsmemo.com and make sure that you check out Matt Joseph's plays. You can find him, all his plays, always over at sportsmemo.com. And in a oldie but goodie, we do have the return of our Gold Sheet play of the day. And if you guys have not been following, the Gold Sheet continues to provide just valuable information, information that you need to be a profitable handicapper, guys. The articles there, the breakdowns of the games, the data, unbelievable. And they are in agreement with the crew here. Oklahoma State is the way to go over NC State here tonight. Make sure you check out the Gold Sheet play of the day. If you visit our Twitter page, at WagerTalk, you'll get the full write-up. That does it. Drew, Mejia, Mid-Major Matt. Here's a recap of the plays, guys, in case you missed it. Drew's going to Grizz. Give me the Oakland Grizz. Lay the 2 here tonight. Mejia says, yeah, they're going to be a little pissed off in Tallahassee. FSU getting it done. Lipscomb plus 10 for Matt Josephs. I'm going to lay the 13 with Stanford over Valpo, and the Gold Sheet agrees. Oklahoma State lay the 3.5 against NC State. Hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner, guys. The week right in the middle of it here. of college basketball. We got much more to come for you. Obviously, we'll be back again tomorrow with another edition of the College Basketball Tip-Off Show. The best damn college football show coming your way here within the hour. And until then, guys, best of luck with your plays tonight. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Sign up for the free WagerTalk text club to gain access to free plays and exclusive discounts. Just text WagerTalk to 33222 to sign up and get a $10 coupon to use on WagerTalk.com.